right, so I'm going to do assignment 43, number 5, and the equation is y minus 9 is equal to 0, and I'm going to find the slope of a line parallel. So remember, if a line is parallel to another line, they have the exact same slope. So if I have y minus 9 is equal to 0, I'm going to put it in slope-intercept form. And that means that I'm going to isolate y. And if I do that, I'm going to add 9 to both sides, and I end up with the equation y is equal to 9. That tells me that my line is going to, here, let me change colors for a second. So my line is going to be, sort of bad line, there it is, y is equal to 9. Okay? So once again, you know, I have this point right there, which is 0, 9, and that is, you know, y, of course, is 9, and that point right there, and if I go over 1, 2, 3, 4, I have this point here, which is negative 4, 9, and once again, my y coordinate is 9, you know, and I know that my line is, the equation for that line is y is equal to 9. Okay, therefore, if I want to find a line parallel to it, I don't know, I'm going to actually choose one. I'm going to draw a line parallel to it. So let's say I draw my line here. And the equation for that line right there is going to be y is equal to 3. There you go. So there's another one. That's another line, an equation for a line that is parallel to that. So what I need to do is to find the slope. So the slope, by definition, is the change in y over the change in x. So if I just go ahead and use this as x1, comma y1, and I'm going to use this point here as x2, comma y2, right? It's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that gives me 9 minus 9 over 0 minus negative 4, which gives me 0 over 4, which of course is equal to 0. So if that's my slope, if my slope is equal to 0, then a parallel slope is equal to 0 as well. And that takes care of that problem. All right, so now number 8. So we're going to find the equation of the line that is perpendicular to y equals negative 5x plus 9, and it passes through the point negative 5, 5. So let's go ahead and begin by changing our color here, and I'm going to go to negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's going to pass through that point right there, which of course is negative 5, comma 5. And then I want it to be perpendicular to the equation y is equal to negative 5x plus 9. So let me go ahead and change my color here. And I have y is equal to negative 5x plus 9. Therefore, my y-intercept is 9, and my slope is negative 5, or I can say that's negative 5 over 1, because that'll help me, right? So I come up here, there's my y-intercept, and from this point, I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3. So that's my change in y, which is equal to negative 5. And then I'm going to go over 1 here, and there's my change in x, which is 1. So I go through that point right there. I'm going to connect my little dots. And there is my line. So it has to pass through this point. So let's go ahead and make this line purple. So what I'm looking for is the line that comes through here. It looks something like that, right? So my line looks something like that, makes a right angle there, and it passes through that point, okay? So I know my slope, by just looking at it, my slope has to work out to be positive. So let's go ahead. We know our slope is -5, so we know the slope is -5 over 1. Therefore, the perpendicular slope is the negative reciprocal. So that means I'm going to flip that number. So the reciprocal means I'm going to flip it. So I'm going to get 1/5, and then I'm going to take the negative of it. So the negative of a negative is positive. So my perpendicular slope is equal to positive 1/5. And now I need to go ahead and plug that into slope-intercept form. Point-slope form. So I know that that is, let's go ahead and use black for a second. And I'm going to go y minus, there we go, y1 is equal to, and I'm putting in purple everything that I have to make a substitution for, m, and then everything in black remains, x minus, and then this becomes x sub 1. So once again, this is going to be, that is going to be x1, and this is going to be y1. And that's going to be the point that we're going to substitute in. So let's go ahead and just grab our black real quick. And we get y minus, and I'm going to go parentheses, x minus, and my equal sign, because those don't change, right? There, in my parentheses. So let's go ahead and see what we end up with when we make those substitutions. So I know that my y1 is right there, and it's 5. So that's y minus 5. Is equal to, well, my slope, right, is positive 1/5. So that becomes 1/5. And now my x1 is right there, and that's minus negative. So I get minus a -5. Now I need to go ahead. I'm going to write this whole thing. Now I'm just going to go ahead and write it all in purple. Okay, guys? So I get y minus 5 is equal to 1/5 x plus 5. Now I need to distribute. So here, let's go ahead and move on to the next. And I'm going to come over here, and I have this here, and I'm going to go ahead and take a look at this. So I can see 1, 2, 3, well, if I knew how to draw better, right, my y-intercept would be somewhere around 6, and my slope is positive up 1 over 5. All right, guys, so, you know, if I was a better artist, it would look better, but you can see that I'm somewhere in the ballpark when I eyeballed my graph at the very beginning. All right, that's the end of that one. We'll move on and do the next one. All right, so here we are. We're going to write an equation for a line parallel to this line right here, right there, that passes through the given point 0, 1. So while we go ahead and do that, you know, we know that our equation is going to be in the form y is equal to mx plus b, and so far we know that our y-intercept is right there on that line, and it's -3. So we have to find the slope. So the slope is the change in y. So our slope is going to be the change in y over the change in x, and that's going to be equal to y. Our change in y is 1, and our change in x is positive 4. So we want it to be parallel to this. So our slope in this line is 1/4. Therefore, our parallel slope is also going to be 1/4. So we know, just real quick, our line is going to, let's see, it's going to have a slope of up 1 and over 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to go through that point right there. So there's our line. And now we just have to find the equation for it. So in this case here, the line that's parallel, we know the slope is going to be the same. And this time we know the y-intercept is 1. right? Because we said that it went through the point right there, 0, 1, so that's our y-intercept. And we're done. That's the equation for that line. And that takes care of that one. Alrighty. Alright, so in this one, A43, I'm doing number 19. And I'm going to tell if the lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So I have 3x plus y is equal to 2, and the other equation is x plus 3y is equal to 2. So I'm going to put both of them in y-intercept form. So in this one here, I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. Right? And that's going to give me y is equal to negative 3x plus 2. That's a plus sign. Doesn't really look like one, does it? There it is. And then here, let's choose a different color here. So let's divide this so it's easier to see. Now I'm going to subtract x from both of these. And that's going to give me 3y is equal to negative x plus 2. Now I need to divide everybody by 3, right? Every single term by 3. And that's going to give me y is equal to negative 1/3 x plus 2/3. So I'm going to see this guy here. His slope is negative 3. And this equation over here, his slope is negative 1/3. Well, they're not parallel because their slopes are different, right? Those are different. Okay. They're not perpendicular because although they're reciprocals, right? Those are reciprocals. They're not negative reciprocals. They both are in negative. Therefore, they're not opposite reciprocals. Therefore, we say that these two lines are neither parallel nor perpendicular. Okay? And that's all of it, guys. We are done. Where's it going? So we were at y minus 5 is equal to, and I had 1/5 times x plus 5 is where we left off. So now we need to distribute our 1/5 to both those terms, and that gives us y minus 5 is equal to 1/5 x plus, and I have 1/5 times 5/1, and that gives me y minus 5 is equal to 1/5 x, and that gives me plus 5/5, which I can say is y minus 5 is equal to 1/5 x plus 1, and now I'm going to add 5 to both sides, and I get y is equal to 1/5 x plus 6. So if I think about this equation here in purple, right, my slope is 1/5, so that means my change in y over my change in x, that's a y there, it's an awful, and my y-intercept, there, cheated, is equal to 6. So let's go ahead and go back to our graph